211. Shin Chiji captures a traitor. In 1161, when Wanyan Liang of the Jin dynasty launched a massive southward invasion, the people of northern China and the Central Plains took advantage of the weakened rear of the Jin forces and initiated uprisings. In Jinan Prefecture, a farmer named Geng Jing gathered dozens of people to revolt and successfully captured the counties of Liwu and Tai'an, both in present-day Shandong province. His force rapidly grew to over 200,000, making it the largest among the rebel armies. Many who joined Geng Jing's rebellion were poor farmers oppressed under Jin rule, but among them was also a patriotic scholar, Shin Chiji. Shin Chiji's early life. Shin Chiji was a prominent literary figure of the Southern Song dynasty and a native of Jinan. By the time he was born, his homeland was already under Jin control. His grandfather, Shin Zan, had once served as a local official under the Jin regime but remained loyal to the Song dynasty. Shin Zan often recounted the tragic fall of the northern Song to his grandson and took him to mountain peaks to gaze at the lost homeland, leaving a deep impression on the young Shin Chiji. As Shin Chiji grew up, his literary talent became widely recognized, and the Jin authorities in Jinan recommended him to take the imperial examination in Yinjing, present-day Beijing. Before he left, his grandfather urged him to observe the geography and political situation of the Jin dynasty along the way. Though Shin Chiji failed the exam, he remained vigilant and gathered valuable intelligence. 3 years later, he returned to Yinjing for another attempt, further deepening his understanding of Jin's internal affairs. Shin Zan passed away before witnessing the restoration of the Song dynasty, and Shin Chiji resolved to fulfill his grandfather's aspiration. The opportunity arose in 1161 when Wanyan Liang launched his invasion of the south. At 22 years old, Shin Chiji organized a rebel force of over 2,000 men and joined Geng Jing's uprising. The betrayal of Yi Duan. Among Geng Jing's rebels, literate individuals like Shin Chiji were rare. Geng Jing welcomed him and entrusted him with drafting official documents and managing the army seal. Shin Chiji informed Geng Jing about another uprising near Jinan led by a monk named Yi Duan, who was knowledgeable in military strategy. Pleased, Geng Jing sent Shin Chiji to establish contact, and soon, Yi Duan and his troops joined the rebellion. However, Yi Duan harbored treacherous intentions. One night, while Shin Chiji was off guard, Yi Duan stole the army seal and fled to the Jin forces. Geng Jing, believing that Shin Chiji had introduced a spy into their ranks, was furious and ordered his execution. Shin Chiji pleaded, saying, "I take full responsibility for Yi Duan's betrayal. Please grant me 3 days to capture him. If I fail, I will accept any punishment." Geng Jing agreed, and Shin Chiji immediately set off in pursuit. After a relentless chase, he caught up with Yi Duan, who, terrified, fell to his knees and begged for mercy. Overcome with fury, Shin Chiji beheaded the traitor on the spot, tied the head to his horse, and returned to Geng Jing's camp. Recognizing Shin Chiji's loyalty and bravery, Geng Jing not only absolved him but also held him in even higher regard. Seeking support from the Southern Song. Following the Battle of Kaishu, the Jin forces were forced to retreat north. However, the Jin Emperor, Wanyan Yong, Jin Shizong, simultaneously sought peace with the Southern Song and adopted a dual strategy of appeasement and suppression to weaken the northern resistance forces. Geng Jing's army faced severe threats. Shin Chiji advised Geng Jing, saying, "To continue resisting the Jin, we must establish contact with the Song court. If we can no longer hold out here, we should move south." Geng Jing agreed and dispatched Jiao Rui, the army's commander, to meet Emperor Gaozong of Song in Jiankang, modern-day Nanjing. Since Jiao Rui, a military officer, was unfamiliar with court protocols, he requested Shin Chiji to accompany him. Geng Jing consented. In 1162, Jiao Rui and Shin Chiji, along with a small entourage, arrived in Jiankang. Emperor Gaozong, delighted by the prospect of an alliance with the northern rebels, received them on the same day. Shin Chiji calmly presented a memorial he had drafted on behalf of the rebel army, detailing their resistance against the Jin. The emperor promptly appointed Geng Jing as military commissioner of Tianping and conferred official ranks upon Jiao Rui and Xing Qiji, instructing them to return and deliver the imperial decree. Avenging Geng Jing's death, Jiao Rui and Xing Qiji departed Jiankang with high spirits. However, upon reaching Haizhou, modern-day Lianyungang, Jiangsu, they received devastating news: Geng Jing had been assassinated. A rebel commander named Zhang Anguo had betrayed him. Amid increased efforts by the Jing to lure defectors, Zhang Anguo, tempted by rewards, colluded with another officer and murdered Geng Jing in his tent. He then defected to the Jing dynasty and was appointed governor of Jizhou, modern-day Jui, Shandong. Without a leader, the rebel forces disbanded rather than surrender. Enraged and grief-stricken, Xing Qiji swore vengeance. He conferred with Haizhou's military governor, and many soldiers volunteered to join him. With 50 elite warriors, he set off for Jizhou. Upon reaching the governor's residence, Xing Qiji found Zhang Anguo feasting with other traitors. Zhang, though uneasy upon hearing Xing Qiji's arrival, was unsure of his intentions and allowed him inside. Without a word, Xing Qiji and his men stormed the hall, seized Zhang Anguo, and dragged him out. As the local troops reacted, they hesitated upon seeing Xing Qiji's commanding presence. Standing before them, Xing Qiji declared, "The imperial army will soon arrive. Those willing to fight against the Jing, join us." Most of the soldiers had previously served under Geng Jing. Inspired by Xing Qiji's call, over 10,000 defected to his side. Leading this force and dragging the bound Zhang Anguo behind him, Xing Qiji headed south. Upon reaching Jiankang, he handed the traitor over to the Song authorities. Zhang Anguo was swiftly executed, his head displayed as a warning. Later years. After returning to the south, Xing Qiji was appointed to an official post in Jiangyin. Despite his low rank, he repeatedly urged the court to launch a northern expedition against the Jing, but his appeals were ignored. Though he later served as a local governor and even established an elite force known as the Flying Tiger Army, his dream of reclaiming the Central Plains never materialized. At the age of 42, political adversaries forced him into early retirement. Though he never fulfilled his military aspirations, he left behind a legacy of passionate and heroic poetry that continues to hold a prominent place in Chinese literary history. That same year, Emperor Gaozong abdicated, passing the throne to his nephew, Zhao Shen, who became Emperor Xiaozong of Song. 212. Lu Yu's final poem before death. When Emperor Xiaozong of the Southern Song first ascended the throne, he was determined to change the humiliating policy of appeasement and aspired to reclaim the Central Plains. In 1163, he appointed the highly respected veteran General Zhang Jun as the chief minister of the Bureau of Military Affairs, Shumashi. Zhang Jun resolved to launch a northern expedition and requested the imperial court to issue an edict, calling upon the people of the Central Plains to rise against the Jing dynasty and assist the Song army in recovering lost territories. At that time, a talented scholar named Lu Yu served as an editorial officer in the Bureau of Military Affairs. Zhang Jun assigned him the task of drafting the edict. Lu Yu's early life and career. Lu Yu was a renowned patriotic poet of the Southern Song dynasty, born in Shaanning, modern-day Shaoxing, Zhejiang. His childhood coincided with the fall of the Northern Song. He witnessed the Jin army's atrocities in the Jiangnan region, growing up amid the suffering of war. He also heard and saw many heroic acts of resistance by the local people, which nurtured a deep love for his country and nation. As a young man, Lu Yu studied diligently and developed remarkable literary talent. At the age of 29, he took the regional civil service examination in Zhejiang and secured the first place. Coincidentally, the grandson of the infamous Prime Minister Qin Hui, Qin Sun, also took the exam. Before the examination, Qin Hui hinted to the examiners that his grandson should be ranked first. However, the examiners upheld fairness, and Lu Yu was awarded the top position. This enraged Qin Hui. The following year, when Lu Yu traveled to the capital Lennan, modern-day Hangzhou, for the national examination, the chief examiner was impressed by his writing and intended to rank him highly. Upon hearing this, Qin Hui became furious and forcibly annulled Lu Yu's qualification, even holding the Zhujiang examiners accountable. From that point on, Qin Hui bore a grudge against Lu Yu and blocked his entry into government service. It was only after Qin Hui's death that Lu Yu was finally appointed as an editorial officer in the Bureau of Military Affairs. The failed Northern Expedition. Lu Yu strongly supported the Northern Expedition, but Zhang Jun, though an experienced general, lacked strong military leadership. Moreover, the two main Song generals under him distrusted each other and engaged in conflicts. The campaign had barely begun when the Song army suffered a crushing defeat at Fuli, modern-day Suzhou, Anhui, leading to a full-scale retreat. Following this failure, officials who favored appeasement attacked Zhang Jun, accusing him of reckless warfare. Some even blamed Lu Yu, claiming that Zhang Jun's military decisions were influenced by him. Eventually, Zhang Jun was removed from office, and Lu Yu was also dismissed, returning to his hometown in Shaanxi. Under increasing pressure from the Jin dynasty, Emperor Xiaozong's resolve to resist began to waver. The following year, he signed a humiliating peace treaty with Jin, abandoning any further plans for northern expeditions. A new opportunity in Hanzhong. Nearly a decade later, General Wang Yan, who was in charge of military affairs in the Sichuan, Shaanxi region, heard of Lu Yu's reputation and invited him to Hanzhong as his military advisor. Hanzhong, being close to the front lines of the Jin-Song conflict, gave Lu Yu hope that he could finally participate in the fight against the Jin dynasty. Excited, he readily accepted the appointment. In Hanzhong, Lu Yu personally rode to the Dazhan Pass, surveying the territories occupied by the Jin dynasty. In Wang Yan's military headquarters, he often witnessed courageous civilians from the Jin-controlled regions risking their lives to deliver military intelligence to the Song forces. These encounters strengthened his belief in the possibility of recovering the lost lands. After thorough investigations, Lu Yu presented a strategic plan to Wang Yan. He believed that the key to restoring the Central Plains was first to reclaim Chang'an. He urged Wang Yan to stockpile grain, train soldiers, and prepare for an offensive at the right time. However, the imperial court in Linen had no intention of launching another northern expedition. Most military officials in the Sichuan, Shaanxi region were corrupt and complacent, and Wang Yan had no means to enforce his strategy. Once again, Lu Yu's hopes for military action were dashed. Soon after, Wang Yan was reassigned, and Lu Yu was transferred to Chengdu, where he served as a consultant under Military Commissioner Fan Qingda. Fan Qingda was an old friend of Lu Yu, and despite their official ranks, they maintained an informal relationship. Frustrated that his patriotic ambitions remained unfulfilled, Lu Yu turned to drinking and poetry to express his emotions. However, many bureaucrats viewed him as undisciplined and unconventional, labeling him rebellious and improper. In response, Lu Yu embraced his outsider status, adopting the alias Fangwing, the carefree old man. Over time, he became widely known as Lu Fangwing. Decades of unfulfilled aspirations. Another 2 to 3 decades passed, during which the southern Song saw 2 more emperors, Emperor Guangzong, Zhao Dun, and Emperor Ningzong, Zhao Kuo. Yet, the Song dynasty never made a serious attempt to reclaim its lost territories. Lu Yu, now living in seclusion, poured his passion and frustration into poetry. He became one of the most prolific poets in Chinese history, leaving behind over 9,000 poems, many of which reflected his love for his country and his sorrow over its fate. The Last Northern Expedition and Lu Yu's Final Days. In 1206, Prime Minister Han Tuozhou launched one last large-scale northern expedition against the Jin dynasty. This news greatly excited Lu Yu, as he had spent his entire life yearning for such a campaign. However, Han Tuozhou's northern expedition was poorly planned, and internal political strife within the Song court further weakened the effort. The campaign ended in failure, and in its aftermath, appeasement officials conspired against Han Tuozhou. Emperor Ningzong, under pressure from pro-Jin ministers, ordered Han Tuozhou's execution and presented his severed head to the Jin dynasty as a gesture of submission. A new, humiliating peace treaty was signed. Lu Yu's lifelong dream of reclaiming the lost territories and reuniting the nation was never realized. He could only express his unwavering patriotism and national concern through his poetry. Lu Yu's deathbed poem. By 1210, Lu Yu was 86 years old and gravely ill. Even on his deathbed, he could not forget the unfinished cause of reclaiming the Central Plains. Gathering his children and grandchildren around him, he recited his final poem, titled To My Son, a deeply moving testament to his undying patriotism. When I die, I know all will turn to dust. Yet I grieve that I shall not see my land reunified. On the day the royal army reclaims the North, do not forget to tell your father at the ancestral rites. Lu Yu passed away shortly after, his last thoughts devoted to the unfulfilled dream of national reunification. His poetry and unwavering patriotism have ensured that his legacy endures in Chinese history as a symbol of loyalty, resilience, and love for his homeland.